We all have walked the journey of life. We have beautiful stories to tell. Others are more traumatic than beautiful. It is not every day that we learn ubana umtu has survived the fight with cancer. Today I have invited Kgotso Lekau to share his story with us. Bethuna, we are more alike than different. We might think that asna cancer, why should we watch? But there's a whole lot to learn from this young man. He's not just a cancer survivor. He's a PR practitioner, a podcaster, full of life, and so much more. Molweni Bethuna, and welcome to Conversations with Z. Igama lami nguzidlela Imba. Thank you so much for joining me today. Lamhlanje I have, is it Kgotso or Kgotso? Kgotso Hope Lekau. Kgotso is Kgotso peace. Or in my church, Kasmulisa City, Kgotso me, Kgotso ntate, as like peace be with you type of thing. But I never actually asked about it's a tutin. So I want to talk about, I didn't actually tell you, but I want us to talk about Kgotso, right? Who Kgotso is, where are you from, what motivates you, and also I want us to speak about your having cancer. Ne? I want to speak more about that because it's very rare to hear a young man, because you're what, 23? Yeah, you're 23. It's very rare for
you. Do your research, right?
I do, because I want to get to know you. Did I visit upper and not? Yeah, so I want to know, Bana, how that was like for Wena, how you actually went through it, and what you learned from it, and your fears and your hopes. Yeah, so those are the things that I want us to speak about. Ne?
Oh, perfect, interesting. Hi everyone. Make sure you subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you listen to his podcast. Also, we're going to be touching based on your podcast as well. Ne?
You asked me a question. Interesting. Who is Kgotso? Interesting question. I think, all I know, what should I be thinking? Kgotso is a young man, very ambitious at heart.
I told you the phone because Jeremy managed to team.
Very ambitious at heart. I love people so much. Sometimes I love people away from because some people can be interesting. But more especially that, I think number one is I love Jesus. That's a newfound relationship. An entrepreneur, a PR by profession, podcaster, YouTuber, all those amazing things. But in general, I love life. I love people, I love Jesus, that's number one. But also I believe in the world and I believe in the future so much, and that's what drives me and that's what motivates me. In fact, people motivate me. When I see different people go to different things, that motivates me to create, to want to change things and do things every day.
And I want to know when like sometimes when when I listen to, because I listen to a podcast and I followed some of your things, it's very PR-y. It's very PR. It's like, this is Kgotso. But like how was your childhood like?
So I grew up in Kgotso. That's what PR is.
Exactly, that's why I'm forgetting that. Do you speak his class? Because I've never heard you. Oh, so what's a Kgotso? Yes.
Yeah, so Kgotso. How was my childhood like? My childhood was quite interesting. In fact, I'm just as the average township boy. I think that contributes a lot to the PR. But it was interesting. I had friends in Kgotso. Sikuransa here and there.
Oliver,
H&M creatures tomorrow is a cool don't boys. But I did a lot of sports. I grew up with my family and we're a small family but a big family as well. And it was a nice upbringing, man, that exposed me to so many things, both in the township world but also the world outside. I think my mom specifically and my parents did a huge role to make sure basikhumbule bana ngobani one, and we're grounded in them, grounded on education, but also that there was a world bigger than Kgotso, and that the goal was to always want to step into that world and not just stay.
And be limited
Yeah.
to. And interesting enough, like Kgotso was referred to a native yard, hence the NYs.
Exactly.
So it's a good thing that your mom wanted you to step outside of the Kgotso, meaning it's, I know this is not about apartheid, but it's literally you stepping out of
Exactly.
the confinements that white people once brought to
And
abantu abamnyama.
unfortunately, not a lot of people are afforded that opportunity to know which there's more than, you know. It's like waking up sometimes. I believe most people, especially Kainisha, like townships, all of them wake up and see Table Mountain, but not all of them step out in the morning and believe they can actually go
To Table Mountain.
to Table Mountain.
Yeah, Mamela, that's so profound. So speaking of your childhood and how it was growing up in Kgotso and all of that, I just want to know, I want you to tell people, because I actually, I'm not sure if I'm going to say unfortunately or fortunately, ne? At a very young age, between 9ish to 10, 11, you were diagnosed with cancer, and you were very young. To us black people, ne, nakenthetha ngabantu nje abafana nami banje, sikhule kusithiwa i-cancer sisifo sabelungu, uyabona ne. Now that siyekhona kwabantu bamnyama sesisomama because obama siloko benile breast cancer, but for such a young boy to be diagnosed, I'm not sure how that was like, but what I want you to tell them is, how did you find out? Like, take us to the incident at school, maybe.
Oh wow, the incident at school was quite very interesting, like own black horror movie vibes. And I played basketball when I was in primary school.
Basketball.
Basketball, that we played in Montevideo, in Montana. So I played basketball, was very good, must say for myself. Didn't go throw by school musical.
Crash, yeah.
So randomly after a match, I want to go to the toilet. Then the toilet was like, I want to pee. And then when I get there, I started peeing blood. And I went to low also. And I knew I was going to come back. So I was going to play another match. So I didn't want to like ask a friend or something. And then I peed blood from a shock, is when I was going on, I collapsed. But the blood carried on. I think it was like 30 minutes later when they realized they go to okay, they in the toilet. A friend of mine came and they saw me swimming in a pool of blood. And I woke up in hospital, and that was the beginning of the cancer journey for about 2 years. So it was a very, like a horror. Did you know of cancer before that? Before that, I've heard, like you said earlier on, this school is a little, you understand? And sometimes I've always been teased when I was either not black enough or I was not black at all. These are black kids, it's from So when this incident came in, I knew it because
very outcast.
Exactly.
So this is making it worse.
And most of my friends at the time were Funda, like 2 minutes away from home. Already powerful. So it was all of that. So and it took time for me to even understand when I even be bold. I remember, the craziest thing is when I just didn't discover it. Obviously, I was going through the therapies and all of that for chemo. I remember people that used to be like, would now start saying, yo, I'm just doing. All of those things because I look so you can struggling with cancer and like if many and a core history of cancer, all of those things, and the stereotype of cancer in a cure. So basically, and journey happened in that studio. So we plan. So we have to because you understand? Yeah. So in underground, and also because of the stereotype. So it was an interesting. So I had to discuss even for my family.
More than interesting, sorry to cut you, it was a very traumatic. Yeah. I can imagine, because even when you telling the story, I'm like, a part of me,
Yeah.
you finish kanja. Did the teasing, not like I'm sure as a child being teased and all of that would affect your your self-esteem at that moment, because I come to follow you understand? But how did you deal with that? Does it not affect you mentally? I'm feel like an outcast or you beyond that.
You know,
Where are you mentally?
from growing up, right? From growing up, even before the cancer, I was always teased with different things, right? And I say to people when they ask me about being teased right now, and I'm like, trust me when I say I have been called all names under the sun. Like I've been called by in the community, in school, in high school, in church, what was supposed to be a church, all of those things. I've been called names, right, under the sun. So, and that helps me to where I am right now. There's nothing that someone can say that can move me. It's like if someone said to me, "Well, you cancer boy," at that time even, is that all you have? Like try something else, because I got to with different other things. I mean, just being called to put away cheese boy, you're not black enough. Then if you're not black enough, it's either if I was Amiga cool, you're not black enough. There was never, and I think even my family contributed to that. Even when you do good, people will talk. Even when you do bad, even when you are quiet, people always say something. And I grew up in a very religious family as well. So I grew up knowing if Jesus things were said about him in his face,
exactly.
Yes, and
exactly.
so that was so I've never been
moved.
No, never been moved. I mean, never been phased at all.
And Kgotso, now you find out, you are told you do have cancer, and there's people about to you know you're gonna die. Or you're even a part of you as a child. Were you not scared? Yes, I grew up with this fascination about death, especially Sundays. I'll think about it because I would be bored. I will ask Columnist, and I'm like, no, should I perhaps die or whatnot?
You can bring it, eh?
No, but also yeah, it's fine. So, yeah, and so this is mine, and that's yours. Yeah. So, like, were you not scared, Bana? Yes, because were you never scared of death?
I think that is interesting. I love challenges, right? I was very observant. I was very curious. Like, especially like in a black family, so when I supposed to be moves or kind of like. The changing the engine. The couldn't no, I couldn't just free norms, systems. So when it comes to things like dying, as for example, when I was growing up, I never really believed in God.
Okay.
I always saw it as a situation when I was all but I never saw it as something. So I had questions, even about death. And when a lot of people, for example, the greatest thing someone can do for me is to say when I'll fail, because it gives me so much ambitions to prove them wrong. Not just to prove them wrong, but to help them come out from that
negative state of mind.
Yeah, that hole they're in. So when this whole death thing was being spoken of, I knew one, I need to change this non-good. Two, I need to change this from when I can't say Abulala, because I refuse.
The way it was done because you're like 11. Like how do you like this is gonna be my mission now to show to people, but I'm not gonna die? What happens?
Remember I said the greatest thing that motivates me is people, right? My drive and my passion is stemmed from people. So, when people, in another video I actually did, it's coming out soon, but someone asked me something about like how do I look at people, like what is interesting about people, and I said the first thing I notice about people is their mind, because from their minds I know how God would want me to be a need or a service to that person. So when I saw people, a lot of people, and it's not a good way. I wanted to be that person is going to remove me. Even if I die, that I want you to move out of that place, because the mind, if you think negatively, you'll always be in a certain box in life. You're always limited. And I wanted to be that person who's going to take people from that limitation to bring them into that place. So I guess I had an interesting childhood mind, and that's why I was able to fight and be like, it's wrong.
And you did prove people wrong, because you were then said to be cancer free. How does that work? And you once said, Bana, it was not the doctors, it was God.
Yo, my man, medical aid, so it was a thing of, like I said, I was very observant. So I did own this better and medical aid, find your own room, just soft. So when you make like a meal, this is just
enough.
and back to go one every night when I would move of what would you like to eat today? So it's all hotel basically. So you're paying medical aid. Now health kicks in. Now you must remember, I'm also the only kid, right?
Okay.
So I was very close with my cousins, but I don't have a lot of kids around me. Okay, I said bye. And they coming from different mindsets. But also what helped me is that cancer is different. Remember, my one was in my bladder, so I know like if you look at me, I was reborn. But Abanye have physical things that shows beauty. But fast forward, I'm doing the chemo, seems to be working here and there. And then the doctors had a new breakthrough. You can actually remove the bladder, go for an artificial thing, and then you might be right. But because I'm very observant, I checked already. And I had friends at the hospital who did it, right? I realized many of them are dying. Yeah? And they're not dying with one cancer overcame them or something. They're dying because they're sick, and also they are now unhappy because they have to open this bag. And it's mentally frustrating. And they have to die. So my biggest lesson in life is I'm not gonna go unhappy and you die. When I could just, if it's out of my different pain. So I then chose, no, I'm not going to do it. And because doctors, yes, they're people as well, and if there's no sick people, there's not doctors, there won't be hospital, right? And it's a lot of from the patients. So I chose not to do it. And it was then when I began to have like this disagreement with doctors. Because when I looked at the experiment, and then if you know, I remember they spoke to my family, tried to convince them, and I was like, no, if I'm going to die, let me die. And but trust me, many things. And sometimes they think I'm sleeping there. But I'm dozing. I'm operation. Okay, I'm playing. I'm busy. I'm move. I was a move out because I don't know. Okay. I remember Auntie Jacob.
I didn't know better.
So it was all of that, right? And then the doctor said, when I said no, hey, it's going to be 2 months.
2 months left. Count down.
2 months. Being a tetranga before. Tetranga go for the room to take my now. I have full operation. Cool. I can just sign my form of my now.
Should anything happen?
Yeah, it's not on them. And like I said, I love challenges. Because that bonus, no one can read April and Banban. I'm India, most of it. I'm Indian Muslims, I'm going to prove you guys wrong. It was then, and also remember, I've been in the hospital for close to 2 years, right? There's like hospital pastors, and obviously our clinic was really TV Sunday, and there's organizations and so already I'm this person who's asking so many questions. So I have already been asking questions with regards to God in terms of if He says He loves me or everything happens for a reason, there's a lesson. Don't 11 maybe lesson I think about and I found the one bedlala basketball ndawana bethe ngenhloko for example ngaba sibhedlela ngenxa injury lapho no because of like cancer into ekuthiwa but I not cure meaning I must fight a world system because the whole world says but I got cure. And I spoke to the pastors and I didn't know the Bible said doing years based on my mom was very strict to man if you pocket money I'm a chapter and all of so I knew it by book, but I didn't understand it. So and I have all the time in the world because it's better. So I'm asking all the relevant questions. I'm fighting, but I'm also speaking to this person. This is God, man. I want you to prove yourself because I don't want to do this religion thing. I want to do a relationship. And clearly, in your book, in many instances in your book, you speak about that you didn't bring a religion, you brought a relationship. So, and I want you to prove yourself in the situation to Buyo, because if you prove yourself in the situation to Buyo, there was no doubt that you are real. Because I felt like a lot of times of religion, you've not experienced it for yourself.
So you wanted to experience.
I wanted to experience it for myself. And I mean, there was no greater situation for him to show himself. And hey, 2 months went to 1 month. And I mean, the doctors and the man like, but they're ready for you. 1 month went to 4 weeks. 4 weeks went to 3 weeks. It was I think it was around like 1 week before, I asked them to discharge me. If this is fate. Like I want to see the sun. Like football is fine. We left, and had really vague. And at the time it really vague. Slowly but surely, I'm having my faith in this Jesus is recovering more than before. Because before there was a season going to Bethlehem whereby because many of my friends passed on in front of me. My choice was learn rather than what I saw from different kids. I moved from that fear to a trust. 2 weeks went by, 1 week, and then like 2 weeks later, after the countdown, we went back to the hospital because we wanted to do a checkup. I can tell you when we went back, they all expected that we are coming back because my mom and my family were to announce it to him.
So like
but when they saw me, it was like, what's going on? You here? You well? And they said, well, okay, we're going to set up an appointment. We're going to get a full day scan. You don't want to ask what's standard. And also,
what called by what standard?
Standard. And also, right now, mind. When I left there, I stopped having consciousness with their cancer. Right? And there was an incident, I'm going to quickly share you one. There was a child when I was there who was told in cancer. And immediately they reacted. They looked like they had cancer. But you then go, oh, which stage the document cancer. You don't have cancer. But when you look at them,
you would think they
think they passed on. Still, they passed on still. They didn't have cancer. But because of the mind. So when I left, that to live cancer and move on with life. And then we went back closer to a month later. We did about 6 scans. When I'm doing about different, because no one understood what was going on. The cancer was gone.
Are you not, now that you are like you were then told you are cancer free, and throughout that you built a relationship with God or Jesus, right? Now, do you not fear, Obana, what if it comes back? Because the thing about cancer most times about you understand? Do you not fear
I think when...
Or you choose not to?
No, I think when I escaped that death experience, right? When I escaped that, two things I walked away from was the fear of death, but also that I overcame it. There's a difference between overcoming something. There's a difference between overcoming something and surviving. I didn't survive it. I overcame it, meaning I destroyed it, right? And because I destroyed one of the greatest sicknesses in the world, I left that place and I knew that when I overcame you and you never came back.
Is like I see that you're someone that travels.
Oh yes, I know.
Ma'am, where does the traveling bite? Bite? Is it a bite?
Yes, a bite.
Like, when does it start? Is it because I at some point I almost lost my life, so now I must. Yay!
No, no matter you, trust me. No, yeah, I think it goes back to after that experience. I still need to go back to God and be like, what was the reason? And the greatest reason was to discover my purpose. Unfortunately, in life, people have to go through something to discover their purpose. But oftentimes, even when they have gone through that thing, because discovering your purpose is a choice. I can take you to the river, but it's a choice outside our mountain, right? So often people don't. So when I discovered my purpose, and my purpose was right in front of me, because I'm probably 0.1% a case study story of people who go to hospital, discover cancer, young, and they live alive. So I knew I need to help people. I need to change the world with my story. I need to discover. I need to discover the world, because I nearly lost my life at 11. And I at 11. So and people is my purpose. And that's why you would see me always. I'm around people out there. During COVID, it was depression. When your purpose is people and you are locked into a room, it's a bit
you are
tricky.
without the purpose.
Yes, and the traveling bite also stems from the fact that till this day the world is very dark, but I still see the goodness of God in the world, and I choose to discover it. I choose to relive the histories of different places in our countries and in our world.
Where have you been? Where's your favorite place that you've traveled to?
If it's outside of South Africa, it would be Ethiopia.
Why? Ethiopia.
Because Ethiopia, one, is not colonized. Two, Ethiopia is in 2015 now.
Done.
So they are living
a slow life.
No, they're not living a slow life. They're living according to the real calendar.
Which one is the real calendar?
The calendar I'm now in colonized England.
Oh, okay.
What are they living in? So imagine the interesting fact. So when we had COVID in 2020, they had COVID in 2013, 2014. Yeah? And the thing is, and how
in real years.
In real years.
Okay.
It's not 2022.
Oh, okay.
And also, they dealt with COVID differently than how we did, because they are not part of the system of security. And the thing with coffee, I love coffee. The coffee apparently is organic and it's amazing. And the people in general, it's an amazing country. And the only reason people don't know that is because it's not in our system, it's not one of the most promoted countries. But the people are amazing. There's something about people. Like I said, my purpose is people.
So Tanda Bantu basically, exactly. and their coffee and the fact
how
that
rooted they are. Not because as much I love South African people, I love people in different parts, but a lot of people who are in a colonized countries can be shallow, like materialistic. They don't see outside of what they actually show. You don't see around it. So I love rooted people who identify with themselves rootedly.
Well, how do you stay rooted? Yeah, because ndiyakubona pha wenza no Colgate, we influencer on Instagram. Like, what does, how do you then stay rooted and be Kgotso without having to think about just securing the bag?
Like I said off the camera with you, but integrity is the most important thing for me. Not a lot of people have integrity. Integrity, being true to yourself, and being true and being loyal to not just to yourself. I think, like I speak about Jesus earlier on, just my relationship with Jesus expresses everything about being me rooted. You never saw Jesus doing things that did not need him. Also, I spoke to you about the fact that I did my first interview last month. I've learned in this season of Mana, if I'm not so and that helps you to be rooted. And just because we are quiet, what doesn't mean respond. Those are the little things that help me be rooted. And like I spoke about not chasing, because we're in a system of chase the bag. Don't go. The danger of chasing the bag is you will even chase a bag that you're not supposed to chase.
So let's go ahead and let the bag come to you.
Exactly.
As I take my bag.
and it will come. And perhaps it will not come the trouble. But le eyakho ibag
will locate you.
It will locate you. And if you locate you, it's going to be worth it. You would have not lost yourself. A lot of people, there's three things people can lose easily. That's their personal identity, their purpose, and their joy. And if you lose these three things, it's like how they say in PR, it takes years to build a brand, but it takes seconds for it to
destroy it.
Same thing with these three. It takes years building your personal identity, your purpose, and your joy. But when you lose them, it's very hard to come back.
I was actually going to ask you, Bana, and I'm not going to ask this anymore. Then Zabuzba, what should people take away from this interview? But you have said a lot of profound things, a lot of wise things. I don't know how you're doing it. You are only 23. But thank you so much for coming and for sharing your journey. More than anything, I think, Bana, it's very hard for people to stay positive when they are facing challenges. So I wanted to bring just to instill that hope and to instill that faith, and for people to actually to challenge what is said if they feel like time go to 1, 2, and 3 will never happen in your life, and we're not but actually it can.
Sure.
That speaks volumes, because that speaks to the God within us.
Exactly.
The ability of speaking life into your own life.
Exactly.
and bringing things into existence. I didn't think I was going to preach, but there is a Bible verse, I think it's in Jeremiah 29. It says, I have given you the spirit to uproot, right? To destroy and to plant. So now we have the ability to uproot and just destroy any negativity that's set against us, and to plant something new and something that's positive.
And the thing is, oftentimes it doesn't even have to be that deep. Oftentimes I think I blame this on religion that caused even the simplest things that God teaches us. We make them so deep that we're not deep. Because we live in a world that's not deep.
But too deep, Joanna. Do you realize how deep you are?
I think I am, but because for me it's just like it's chill, it's life.
It's very ironic. You are very deep in your speaking, in your thinking, in how you portray yourself.
But
as much as when you sit here, no, it's chill, it's not that deep. But yes, you make it sound deep now.
It's not. It's actually not.
Actually, they should follow you on your podcast so that they can decide.
But also remember, I said to you, you're a different person right now. So I feel like this one thing Jesus says, right? If I'm going to preach, one thing that Jesus says is, I have come that you might have life and live it to the fullest. If you do that, and if you do the second thing, what does it say again? It says, if you love me, you will do my word. Simple, not deep. You don't have to preach, collar, nothing, no suits, nothing, chilled. Sometimes perhaps can be deeper because you need to hear this.
Oh, deep because you know the journey.
Yes,
because it's exactly.
If you've realized for many interviews I've done, I don't speak about my cancer journey because I refuse to brand myself with that whole experience. But also in Andopana, him is looking at things to put out. Like cancer. In fact, the cancer I need cherry on top because years again feels better than now. Because in the funny video vokile, just loves with the smile, but when come back.
When now you are at your lowest.
Senna, a place where like I have all these passions, I have all these things I want to do, but as this man, like I did but finally here we are, all amazing. I mean,
I've listened to you. You sound amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
So people, please do check him out. Follow him on Instagram. I'm going to put his Instagram handle up. I'll put his podcast up so that you can check him out on YouTube as well. Betuna, thank you, man, so much for empowering Abandu and for being the light that you are and being the peace that you brought peace into. Hey, you brought peace. Kgotso. Hey, what's this? Cancer. Don't ask. I'm like, hey, where's the peace?
Yo.
But thank you so much. Thank you so much for being you and for sharing you. I know people who go through the most would definitely need it.
Thank you so much. Only a pleasure.
Please do like, comment, and subscribe. Bye-bye, Betuna.